Hello, Doomers and other Indiana Jones fans. I just got back from seeing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at the Capitan Theater in Hollywood. I'm still dressed in what I was wearing at the theater. It's 90 degrees outside, so I can't wait to get out of this, but I just wanted to record my initial thoughts about the movie because for some reason people care what I think. So we'll do non-spoiler and then spoiler review, okay? Where are my glasses? I can't see. Okay, so non-spoiler review of the movie. I liked it. I thought it was good. The beginning was good, and I don't just mean the first 20 minutes. I know everyone's going on about how the first 20 minutes is great, but after that, no. I'd say the first hour is good. The first hour of this movie is very solid. It's good to see Harrison Ford playing what is obviously his favorite character. It's a real joy. I really enjoy the ending. I thought it was neat and inventive and different, which are things that I like in movies. I don't like seeing the same things play out over and over again. I did find the middle to be a little slack. I didn't quite check my watch, but I came close to it at times. There was just a little too much running around from place to place looking for things. If you watch the other Indiana Jones films, they don't run around looking for so many pieces to the different parts. There's usually just like one piece that's missing, and then everything else kind of falls in place after that. And here they had to find this, and then the graphicos, and then that, and that, and that, and I thought it just kind of dragged. There was definitely some spots that I thought could have used some editing and some tightening up. Like I said, Harrison Ford was great. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was fine. She did kind of wear out her welcome for me after a while, but if the movie was 2 hours instead of 2.5 hours, it probably would have been better. Also, I found the villains to be a little lacking, and I know that's shocking because everybody loves Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen's done this role several times. I like that he was trying to be a little more charming than mustache twirling as a villain, but I didn't find the villains to be very interesting. I thought Boyd Holbrook was really good as the henchman. I thought Indy had a pretty decent emotional arc. I was touched by his journey. I think it would have helped if Phoebe Waller-Bridge had something as touching to go along with it. I thought the artifact itself was really cool. The dial, Archimedes' dial, I thought was very neat. I liked the way it all came together, and it was different than what we get in the other films, which is based around religious objects. This was different. It was like mathematical based. I thought that was different and cool, which is, things that I like. I just felt overall structurally the movie felt off. Every Indiana Jones movie shouldn't hit the same beats over and over again, but these movies do kind of sort of have their own sort of pace, and this one seemed a little more modern in its storytelling and its pacing, which I don't know if that works 100% with Indiana Jones. One thing I really liked about the movie was that they tried to bring back some of that grit from Raiders and Temple that started coming off in Crusade and was totally gone by Crystal Skull. This one was a little harder edged, which I liked. There was death, there was blood. You felt like there was danger around every corner, which is good in a movie like this. You want to feel like the heroes might not succeed. Overall, I would give it a B. It was better than Crystal Skull, not as good as the original trilogy. It's really hard to beat George Lucas and Steven Spielberg in their prime. So our experience at El Capitan, I'd never been there before. It was really neat, beautiful, old movie palace style. They had an organ player at the beginning, and they had a raffle of Indiana Jones prizes at the beginning. It was a Funko Pop, a journal, and a backpack. I had my raffle ticket, and I felt good about it because my raffle tickets, they were 4 of them, and the last one was 981, which I thought 1981, that's when Raiders debuted. There was a sign. Of course, I don't believe in numerology, so as I did not win. But we all went in full costume. We got a lot of compliments from people that were there. After the movie was over and we left the theater, the manager came running up to me and said, "Your family wins Best Costume Award," and they handed me this bag. Right here. I have not opened this yet. Let's see what we got. I got a Helena Shaw Funko Pop. What's this? Oh, this must be the journal. The journal they were giving away during the raffle. It's just a journal. I can write down all my notes for all my adventures. And what is this? I think it's a mug. It's a mug. And it's made out of metal. I'm sure Leia will destroy all of this stuff. We also were given the, I guess, the El Capitan exclusive posters. They're very solid, you know, they're on thick cardstock. It's a nice picture of Harrison Ford with a little Harrison Ford coming out of his brain for some reason. And then we got this nice little tote that everything came in, which is cool. I guess my advice to you is if you're going to the theater, dress to the nines because you might get prizes. Oh, and of course on the way out of the movie theater, I couldn't resist but to get the metal popcorn tin. I didn't get the cup with the hat. I thought that was stupid. So from this point on, we're gonna talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm not sure what people were complaining about. It really was pretty enjoyable. Okay, so one of the things I liked about the movie a lot was, like I said earlier, we got the edge back. People were getting shot left and right. There was blood again, which is, you know, something I've missed. I thought the bad guys might be just a little too trigger happy. They were shooting just about everybody that was in the room with them, other than Indiana Jones and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because they always like needed them for something, you know, so that was the reason. Everybody else got shot. I thought the beginning was really cool. The deep fake technology, it was fine. You know, parts of it didn't look real, but you know, in the original films, there's times when it's obviously not Harrison Ford either. So that's not that big of a deal unless you're gonna make a big deal out of it. The train sequence at the beginning was cool. I did think it went on a little too long, but so did the rest of the movie. You know, I was a little two minds about how they handled Mutt. On the one hand, I thought they did him a little dirty by killing him off screen. I think they're kind of giving in to fan sentiment at the moment, which is, you know, Crystal Skull was bad because of Mutt, so everybody hates Mutt, let's kill Mutt. I just think that's not a good way to handle something like that. And we've seen in the past, like with the prequel trilogies, you know, everybody hated Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker, and now they've come around to him. I got a feeling most people are going to come around to Mutt in the future too, and so killing him off, in theory, not a great idea. However, I do like the way it was handled and the way it gave Harrison Ford like this real deep emotional thing to play off. So in the sense that it gave Harrison Ford, you know, an Indy, a somewhat of a character moment to build off of towards the end, I thought that was cool. I just thought they did Mutt a little dirty. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character could have used more of a character arc. There seemed to be some sort of like seeking a father figure thing in her, but it never really gelled together at the end. And I thought we would get more of that in the climax. Yeah, there wasn't like a big payoff to that. I thought the whole thing with Teddy flying the plane was a little ridiculous. I know they tried to plant the seeds for that in that club, but it didn't really work for me. And since they had another guy in the plane flying it anyway at the end, I feel like it could have been better worked out where Teddy just made the guy fly the plane or something. I really enjoyed the parts where Indy and Helena were piecing and puzzling things together. Like that stuff I thought was fun. Some of the running around and all that in the middle got a little tedious. The bit in Morocco I didn't really care for, with the gangsters and the guy that Helena had a relationship with. I thought that was all kind of silly. The little chase in the streets was cool, but it didn't amount to anything. I just didn't feel like it had like a good payoff. So the Morocco sequence I probably would have just gotten rid of. Would have been better off just going straight to Antonio Banderas, who I thought was great. But again, like everybody else in this movie, he gets shot. Yeah, I did have issues with the villains. I didn't think they were like A-tier villains, you know. These guys were probably closer to like Walter Donovan than Belloc or Mola Ram, who to me are like top tier. In the indie films, the villains usually have an ironic departure from this world. Something that they've, with the device or whatever, brings about their end. And that technically is what happened here, but I feel like it could have been better. Voller just crashing into the ground and dying in an explosion didn't really quite have the same bit of irony that some of the other character deaths in the past few movies had. See, my favorite moments were the ones with Harrison Ford really just, you know, getting deep into the character. I liked the part when he was talking about what he would do if he could, you know, turn back time. It was touching. Probably my favorite moment was when he meets Archimedes and starts talking to him in Greek, and you can just tell that he's in awe of this figure from history that's been his life's passion. That really came through, and that's probably the moment that I felt the most moved. And that kind of brings me to the ending. You know, there were rumors about reshoots and redoing the ending. It does feel like that's what happened here. The scene did seem like it was building up to Indy staying in the past, which I honestly think would have been fine. His life has been about pursuing the past. Him getting to live in history, at least briefly, I think would have been a good ending for him. Of course, there is the ticking clock of him being shot, and if he had stayed in the past, he would have died shortly thereafter. Part with Helena, you know, punching him in the face. I know a lot of people complained about that. I'm not sure why. Went over really well with the audience. They thought it was really funny, but it did kind of feel tacked on, like it was almost like part of a reshoot. And then maybe I'm wrong, but it did kind of feel like they were reconfiguring the ending so they could bring Karen Allen back and have like more of a happy, upbeat ending. The ending they had was fine. It did kind of repeat the ending of Crystal Skull somewhat, so it was a little unsatisfying in that way. But overall, I thought, you know, it was a good ending. I would have loved to have seen Short Round come back. Not sure why they didn't make that happen, especially everything that Ki Kwan has gone through this year would have been amazing. Okay, so like the action scenes were lacking Steven Spielberg's touch. They were lacking his sense of organized chaos. The, you know, almost Buster Keaton meets Rube Goldberg sort of scenes that Spielberg creates, especially in the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. They weren't matched by anything here. We got a lot of chases, and some of them were cool. The one in Morocco looked really neat, and it felt kinetic. There wasn't like the kind of memorable action pieces or stunt work that were found in the earlier films. That stuff was a little disappointing, and since it comprised the middle of the film, I think it contributed to the middle feeling a little slack. I think they should have tightened this up, cut it down to 2 hours. We would have had a better movie in the long run. They had that strange flashback with Indy and Basil, you know, after World War II, but before the events of this movie. Felt a little out of place in an Indiana Jones movie. Flashbacks haven't really been a thing in Indiana Jones. I know you have the beginning of Last Crusade, but that was more like an extended, you know, prequel just tacked on to the beginning of that movie. It wasn't like a character reminiscing about the past and then how that's going to pay off in the film going forward. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. My wife enjoyed it. My son enjoyed it. He said the same thing I did. He was like, it was boring in the middle, but the beginning and ending were good. And that's, yeah, I agree with that. I'd say the first hour was great. The third act was really great. The middle is where things kind of start getting a little gummed up, but yeah, overall definitely one of the better movies that Disney Lucasfilm have done since the takeover, over 10 years ago. I recommend the movie and go see it. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, I think you'll enjoy it. I love the part when he said, "You didn't drink the black sleep of Kali." That was good. That made me laugh.